Lecture 15. We're still talking about radicals. Let's see the first one. We need to find the product. So we have a square root of 5, square root of 7. Remember this one has an index here, right? Let's just review. What does the square root of 5 mean? Let's see, this equals some x. So this means some number squared is 5, right? Some number squared is 5. So which we use square root 5 to represent. Square root 5 squared is 5. Well, square root 5, what's square root 5 squared? That's square root 5 times square root 5. Which is square root of 5 times 5. Which is square root of 25. And we know square root 25 is 5, right? So basically, try to remember this. Square root of 5 square is 5. Okay, this one, both ends, so the index, we call this 2 index. So if we don't see the numbers under this radical sign, this is called a radical sign. Inside, we call it radicand. Inside, we call radicand. And then the radicand may have a power, right? And we call, if a number here, exponent, we call power. And if a number here, we call index. Called index. So if we see no index, so that's by default or by convention, that's 2. So no index is 2. So this one multiplying because they're all under the same index, so we can put them together. So we do 5 times 7. And we know 5 times 7 is 35. So the result of the product is square root of 35. Now let's see B. So the index is 5 for the first one, index 5 for the second one. So we can put them under the same index with one radical sign. So 3x times 2x squared. Then we do number multiplied by number. 3 times 2, 6. X times x squared. This x is x raised by 1. Same base, we add the exponent. So 1 plus 2 is a 3. Then we can split this into 2. So cubic root of 6. So this index 3, we can read as cubic root. Cubic root of 6 times cubic root of x cubed. Also remember, if we have x raised by n, the index is m, you can write as rational exponent. The power is in the numerator, the index is in the denominator. So in this case, we see cubic root of x raised by 3 can be written as x raised by 3 divided by 3, which is just 1. So x raised by 1, so we write that as x. So this one becomes x, but this one, we cannot do anything. Right? So what does the cubic root of 6 mean? Let's see that equals some y. That means some number when we raise by 3 is 6. Or if we raise this by 3, that's 6. So for here, we have to leave as it is. So we have a cubic root of 6 times x. Now let's say 2. Simplify. Square root of 90. So which means we want to try to find the hidden squares in 90. Right? Because when we have hidden squares, square root of 0 is 0, square root of 1 is 1, square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is 3, so on and so forth. Why? Because square root 4, let's start from 0. That's a 0 squared. Square root of 1 squared. The 4 is square root of 2 squared. 9 is a square root of 3 squared, right? The index and the power are the same. So trying to find the hidden squares. Well, let's see number 90. 90, first we see 3, right? 3 squared is 9 times 10. So if we square root of 90, that's the square root of, we can write as 3 squared times 10. Also remember the index is 2. And then we have 3 squared with the index 2 times square root of 10. So we have 3 raised by 2 over 2. The power is 2. The index is 2. Multiplied by square root of 10. 2 over 2 is 1. So this is a 3 radical 10. Let's see B. Cubic root of 40. 40, we know we can split into 8 times 5. Right? That means we can split this 8. You have to remember what's 8? 2 cubed is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we can write as 2 raised by 3 times 5. Then we can split as a cubic root of 2 cubed times cubic root of 5. So 2 raised by 3, then index 3, the power is 3. We know 3 divided by 3 is 1. So 2 raised by 1. Cubic root of 5. And so the index is for this radical sum. So that's a 2 multiplied by cubic root of 5. But usually we don't write this multiplication, we just write 2 cubic root of 5. So be careful to write this 3 index small enough so not to get confused. Now let's see C. The index is a 3. Index 3. So we want to make a cubes inside. So 16 is 2 times 8. Right? 8 times 2. Because 8 is 2 cubed. Then x raised by 10, we can split it as x raised by 9 times x. Because x raised by 9, 9 divides 3. Then y raised by 15, we keep it, because 15 divided by 3 is 5. So now all under cubic root. Remember cubic root, we can also write as 1 over 3. And then we have 2 raised by 3 times 1/3. Then we have 2 raised by 1/3. We have x raised by 9 times 1/3. Basically, we distribute this 1/3 to every exponent. Then we have x raised by 1/3. And y raised by 15 times 1/3. So that equals to this cancel to be 1, which is a 2. But this is still cubic root of 2. This is what 9 divided by 3, that's 3. So we have x raised by 3. Then this one is cubic root of x. 15 divided by 3, that's 5. So y raised by 5. So how do we write this? We write as a 2 x cubed y5 first. X cubed y raised by 5. Then we have a cubic root of 2. Cubic root of x. We want to write those two together. Cubic root of 2x. All right, that's how we write them. Let's see D. D, we have 5 cubic root of 2 times 10 cubic root of 3. Remember, this is also multiplication, right? And what do? We multiply 5 with 10, we get a 50. Then the index is all 3, we can put those two together. So cubic root of 2 times 16. Well, 16 is 2 times, let me write here, so we have 50 cubic root of 2 times 2 raised by 4. Oops. Right, 16 is 2 raised by 4. Then we try to find the cubes. So 50 cubic root of 2 times 2 raised by 4. That's 2 raised by 5. But we want to split as 2 raised by 3 and 2 squared. So then we get a 50 times 2. because these two raised by 3 with the index 3, they cancel each other to become 1. But then we still have cubic root of 2 squared, which is 4. So 50 times 2, that's 100. So get 100 cubic root of 4. But 100 is just 100. What's cubic root of 4? Irrational number. Irrational number. Okay. Irrational means it doesn't really make sense to our brain. So cubic root of 4 means, let's say this equals x, which means some number you raise by 3 equals to 4. Or you raise this number by 3, you get 4. That's the meaning of the number, irrational number. All right, let's go next one. Let's erase this. Let's say 3, we want to add radicals. So now it's not multiplication. It's added. So the operation is added. When we add, we need like terms. Well, in this case, we need like radicals. Remember, if we have 2x plus 3y, we won't be able to do anything, right? 3 apples plus 2 apples plus 3 bananas. This is 2 apples plus 3 bananas. We won't be able to combine them. But if we have 2 bananas plus other 3 bananas, this is called like terms. We say, okay, we have 5 bananas. So in this case, we have like radicals. This is square root 10, this is square root 10. So the irrational numbers are the same. So then we only look at the number before it. So here we have 5 of square root 10. This one will have 3 of square root 10. So total together, of course, that's 5 plus 3, which is 8 square root of 10 or radical 10. Yeah, you can read this as square root of 10 or radical 10. So 8 times radical 10, right? We have 5 of them, then plus 3 of them. Surely, total we have 8 of them. Let's see this one. This is subtraction. So subtract, we have cubic root of 5, cubic root of 5. But how do we subtract those two? We imagine there's a number 1 there, right? In multiplication, we can always multiply by 1. It doesn't change anything. Then we say, okay, cubic root of 5 are the like radicals. Then the number before the first one is 3. Before the second one, minus 1. So 3 minus 1, 2. So we have 2 cubic root of 5. Of course, right? If I have 3x minus x, that's 2x. Because we can imagine 1 here. 3x minus 1x, 2x. 3 apples minus 1 apple, that's 2 apples. Let's say C. Here we don't have like radicals, right? This will have square root 48. 48 is radical. This is 27 radical. But maybe you can simplify. Let's simplify square root 48. Square root 48 is square root 16 multiplied by 3, right? 16 times 3 is 48. And we know square root of 14, square root 16. Square root 16 is 4. So that's 4 radical 3. But we have 3 here, so it's a multiply. 3 multiplied by 4 radical 3. Plus, now let's see radical 27. Radical 27 is 9 times 3. So I have square root of 9 times square root of 3, which is 3 radical 3. So we have 2 here already. So we do 2 multiplied by 3 radical 3. 3 times 4, 12. I have 12 radical 3. Plus addition, 2 times 3, 6 radical 3. We have like radicals. We just add 12 with 6. 12 plus 6, that's 18. So I have 18 radical 3. So this one we have to manufacture like radicals. Simplify. Square root 48, square root 27. Now let's see D. D here we have cubic root of 54 x cubed. Well, let's see cubic root of 54 x cubed. That's the cubic root of 54 is 27 times 2. Okay. Split into cubic root of x cubed. Well, this obviously is x. Then here we have cubic root of 27. Remember 27 is a 3 cubed. 3 times 3, 9. 9 times 3, 27. So this can be written as cubic root of 3 cubed times 2, then times x. So this 3 cube, the index cube becomes 3. And we like to write x here. Then 3x cubic root of 2 left inside. Well, we can write it as 3 cubic root of 2 of x. Now, let's go back here. So we have 6. We have 6 already. Now multiply by 3x cubic root of 2 plus, now cubic root of 16. Let's see cubic root of 16. 16 is 8 times 2. Right? 8 is cubic root of 2 cube. It's 2 cube times 2. Then you see 2 raised by 3, the index 3, this is 2. So 2 cubic root of 2. So this will have 2x times 2 times cubic root of 2. Well, 2x times 2, that's 4x cubic root of 2. And plus this first one. We see cubic root of 2 is like radicals. So 6 times 3x is 18x. Plus 4x is a cubic root of 2. You can also think cubic root of 2 is a common factor, right? Like radicals are common factors. So 18x plus 4x, 22x, cubic root of 2. Okay, you can write this way, or you can write as 22 cubic root of 2, x in the end. Now let's see 4. 4, we're dividing 2 radicals. So the index is 2, the index is 2. Again, we can put it under 1 index. So 8x cubed divided by 2x. So when we do division, we divide number with a number. So we will get 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. X cubed divided by x with x raised by 1. Division, we subtract the exponent, like 3 minus 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. Then this is square root of 4. Square root of x squared. Remember this is 2. Square root of 4 is 2. X squared, index is 2, x. But we want, yeah, that's it. It's equal to 2x. This one, similarly, the index is all 3, so you can put it under 1 index. So 24, x raised by 6, y raised by 5, divided by 3, x raised by 3, y squared. Then we simplify. So the cubic root of 24 divided by 3, we get 8. X raised by 3, x raised by 6 divided by x raised by 3, that's x raised by 6 minus 3, which is 3. Y raised by 5 divided by y squared, this is y raised by 5 minus 2, which is also 3. All right. 8 is 2 cubed, so we should get a 2x what, right? Because everyone has a power of 3. 3 divided by 3 becomes 1, so 2xy. Okay, let's erase this. Let's see 5. So 5, we're multiplying 1 term with 2 terms. So we distribute. And just as, if we have something, let's say A times B plus C, then we distribute. So A is a common factor of B and C. We just distribute. Distribute means multiply. We get A times B plus A times C. So similarly here, just multiply 3 with X, multiply radical 3 with radical 6. Because radical 3 is common factor of X and radical 6. So we get radical 3X plus radical 3 times radical 6. But what is radical 6? Radical 6 can be split into radical 3 times radical 2. So radical 3 times radical 2. And radical 3 squared is just 3. So have radical 3x plus 3 radical 2. And that's it. That's it. Now let's say B. We have 2 terms in the first group, we have 2 terms in the second group, exactly the same as before. We're going to FOIL this. So we're going to multiply first one with the first one, second one with the second one. We multiply these two, we multiply these two. So multiply, so let's call this 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 give us radical 2 times 4, 4 radical 2. So we'd like to write down this number first. We like to write down the radical number, the irrational number in the end. Then 2, we get negative x times radical ax. That is negative x times a radical a, but this x is outside. So this one will get a negative radical a x squared, because we have x times x. But what is radical a? Radical a can be split. Radical a is radical 4 and radical 2. 2 radical 2. So this is a negative 2 radical 2 x squared. Now let's see 3. 3 is negative x times 4, so it's negative 4x. 4 of radical 2 times radical ax. Right, radical 2 times radical a is 16. Radical 16 is 4. It's going 4x. Now we write 1, 2, 3, 4 together. So we have 4 radical 2 minus 2 radical 2 x squared minus 4x plus 4x. What happened with these two? Cancel out. The negative 4x plus 4x, that becomes 0. So in the end, this is get a 4 radical 2 minus 2 radical 2 x squared. Right? This is, so it's multiplied together. So the result is this. Now let's see C. Similarly, we multiply first with first, second with second, multiply those two, and multiply those two. Let's also call this 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 radical 3, so 1 is 2 radical 3 times 3 radical 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Radical 3 times radical 3, that's 3. We get 18. 2, we multiply 3 radical 5 with negative 2 radical 5. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Radical 5 times radical 5, that's 5. So we get negative 30. Let's say 3. 3 radical 5 multiplied by 3 radical 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Radical 5 times radical 3 is radical 15. 4. 2 radical 3 times negative 2 radical 5. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 3 times radical 3 times radical 5, radical 3 times 5, 15. All right, now let's put together. So we have 18, this one, minus 30, the second one, plus 9 radical 15, the third one, minus 4 radical 15, the fourth one. Combine like terms, 18 minus 30, negative 12. 9 radical 15 minus 4 radical 15, that's plus 5, because 9 minus 4, that's 5. Radical 15. And radical 15 cannot be simplified. So that's it. The answer for C is negative 12 plus 5 radical 15. So let me choose my color. Same thing, negative 6 times negative 6, radical 3 times negative radical 3. Then we multiply this 2, multiply by this 2. Let's also call this 1, call this 2, call this 3, call this 4. So 1, we get a radical 6 times radical 6. Well, that's radical 6 squared, which is just 6, because the index and the power are the same. 2 radical 3 times negative radical 3. Well, positive times negative is negative. Then we have radical 3 squared, this is negative 3. 3, well, radical 3 times radical 6. That's radical 3 times radical 3 times radical 2. Because radical 6 can be split as 3, 2, right? 6 is a 3 times 2. So square root of 6, radical 6 is radical 3 times radical 2. Then this 2 becomes 3, radical 2. Let's see, 4. 4 will have radical 6 times negative radical 3. Again, we split radical 6 as 2 times radical 3, then times negative radical 3. So negative times positive negative, we get negative. So radical 3 times radical 3, that's radical 3 squared, which is a 3. So we get negative 3 radical 2. Now put 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 together. So we have 6 minus 3 plus 3 radical 2. Because by default, no sign, that means the sign is plus. The minus 3 radical 2. 6 minus 3 is 3. 3 radical 2 minus 3 radical 2 is 0. So the answer is just 3. That's 5. This is 6. Yeah, 6 is the last one. 6, we want to rationalize the denominator. So which means, what does rationalize mean? So from irrational, so change an irrational number to be a rational number. Right? So it's called a rationalization. Rationalization. So which means if I have a square root 2, right? How do I change square root 2 to be a rational number? I would like to change this. So I have to square it. Yeah, or I have to multiply by square root 2. So in this case, I want to rationalize the denominator. So I want the denominator to be a rational number, not an irrational number. So what do? I multiply by itself. Multiply by square root 5. But this is not equation, this is expression. I can only multiply by 1. So this 1 is square root 5 divides itself. Then the denominator I get 5. The numerator I get 2 times 5 is 10, I get square root of 10. So now you see the denominator is a rational number. So the denominator is being rationalized. So let's see C first. Or maybe let's see B. B, I have 2 terms in the denominator. Let's just recall something called difference of 2 squares. Let's see if I have square root of A minus the square root of B times square root of A plus square root of B. Remember that equals to A minus B, right? We multiply those two, get A. Multiply those two, get negative B. Multiply this two, get negative square root of AB. Multiply those two, positive square root of AB. Cancelled. So in the end, we have A minus B. So here we want to, and we call those two conjugates. This one and this one are conjugating each other. So we multiply by, so this is a minus, we multiply by plus term. square root of 6 plus square root 2 divides itself. Okay. So difference of two squares, if you can think, because this a is a square root of a squared, this b is a square root of b squared. So we have difference of two squares. By doing so, let's put a parenthesis around because we're dealing with a binomial, two terms. Then the denominator right away becomes 6 minus 2, according to this formula, right? The numerator we just have to multiply. I have 3 times radical 6, 3 radical 6. Then radical 6 times radical 2 plus radical 6 times radical 2. Let's put over here. Radical 6 times radical 2. Radical 6, we can split it as radical 3 times radical 2. We get a radical 2 squared, so we get a 2 radical 3. So that's a 2 radical 3. Then we multiply by square root 6 with square root 6, that's a 6. Then we multiply by 3 radical 2. Do we have like terms to cancel? No. So this is a radical 6 term. This is radical 3 term. This is radical 2 term. And this is constant. And I mean, this is a whole number. Only this one can be simplified. 6 minus 2, that's 4. And that's it. The answer is just this. We have 4 numbers, 4 irrational numbers in the numerator, all divided by 4. Now let's see C. C, let's do this first. If I have 9x, right, I want to make 9x cubed. What do I do? 9x raised by 1. Then I need to multiply by 9x raised by square, right? Then 1 plus 2, that's 3. So here, because I want to rationalize denominator, basically I want to get rid of the radical sign, the cubic root sign. So I'm going to multiply by cubic root of 9x squared divides itself. Cubic root of 9x squared divides itself. In this case, then we have a cubic root of 9x cubed, right? That means the denominator just becomes 9x. Because the power is cubed, the index cube, 3 divided by 3 is 1. The numerator I just have to multiply. I have 2x, and then I can simplify a little. Because 2x times the cubic root of 9 squared. Remember, 9 is 3 squared, right? So I can write as 3 squared x squared. That becomes 2x, 3 squared. 3 squared and square again, that's 3 raised by 4. So let's do this only. Cubic root of 3 squared x, then squared. That's cubic root of 3 raised by 4 x squared. Well, 3 raised by 4, we want to split as 3 raised by 3 times 3. Then cubic root. Then this 3 over 3 becomes 1. So multiply by 3, then cubic root of 3x squared. Well, 2 times 3, that's 6. Oh, actually, we can simplify with this, with 9. So that becomes 3. And then x is simplified with x. So we have 2 cubic root of 3x squared divided by 3. Okay, that's a simplified version. Now let's see D. I know you see the denominator is rationalized. Denominator is a rational number now. D, we can write as cubic root of 4 and cubic root of 5x squared. So this here, we need to multiply by cubic root of 5 squared and x. We're going to do the same for the numerator. 5 squared x cubic root. Then the denominator will get a cubic root of 5 raised by 3, right? Because 5 raised by 1, 5 squared, and 5 raised by 3. And x raised by 3, right? X squared times x. Then I'll enter the cubic root sign. And then the numerator will have a cubic root of 4 times 5 squared x, right? Right, then the denominator is just 5x, right? Because 5 raised by 3 and index 3. X raised by 3, index 3. So denominator is just 5x. And the numerator will have a cubic root. So what's 4 times 5? 4 times 20, 5 squared, 25. 4 times 25, 100. So cubic root of 100x. And that's it. Can I simplify any further? Okay, so that's today. But probably today we're going to finish this one, and also so this is a 15, right? Maybe we're able to finish 2 lectures today. This is 15, we'll see. Okay, let me just finish this one. If possible, I will upload 16 as well later.